Welcome to another video about the forex currency markets. This is my weekly video where I do my forecast on the coming week for the forex markets, the major currency pairs. I will take a look at those. My name is Dave Tromp. I have a website at davetromp.com where I talk about trading and investing, and where I also share some other personal interests of mine. One of those is coding. I'm a coder by day and trader by night, and that's how I like to see it. I'm also a Budo practitioner, so I am a Aikidoka and Judoka. I've been doing that for all of my life, and if you are interested in more of these details, you can go to my website. But you're probably here to have a look at my forecast for the forex currency markets, so let's dive into that. So as usual, I always start looking at the weekly charts for the dollar index, and this is what I am looking at currently. So we still have this long-term uptrend line that was in place and that was broken a few weeks ago, maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I think we're going to retest this trend line. We've broken it strongly, and then we started to consolidate a little bit, and now we have broken up out of this consolidation, and I'm waiting for a break of the high of last week to get long and trade it back into this level of the trend line, and also of this support line that was support here, and it will be resistance probably when price gets to there. Also, we meet with the 200 moving average, which is a support and resistance area as well, a very strong one. So this is my forecast. So and after that, I believe we will see a bounce lower again, because I do expect more pressure on the dollar because of all the printing that the Federal Reserve Bank is doing, and also because of the elections that are coming, which will cause a lot of uncertainty for the United States, and therefore for the dollar. So we have this strong area here at the bottom, which is a support area. Price went into there, and it coincided with this trend line, or it formed one of the, no, it was the third bounce of this trend line, and also price then moved strongly higher over this area. So I believe that if price comes down to this level right here, then we will see another bounce higher on the dollar index. So I always say keep this in mind when looking at the other currency pairs, so looking at all the other pairs that are trading against the dollar. So here we have the euro USD. So if the dollar is becoming stronger in my expectation, or in my forecast, then it means that the euro against US dollar should go lower. So let's see if this is the case in my analysis. So here we have the euro USD. It's been trending down strongly, and it has broken this trend line. Maybe if we get a longer term trend line, we will see a different picture, that we have not yet broken it. So let's see if we do this one, then we can still see that we have some room left to go. But same as on the dollar index, we've seen some consolidation, and now I'm waiting for a break lower back to the trend line as well, and that also coincides here with this horizontal support zone or support line area. So that is pretty much the same as on the dollar index, only this is just one currency against the dollar instead of the basket of currencies. Of course, this is just a forecast and a probability. We may see price just go higher next week or in a few weeks without even going lower, but my point is that if price breaks a certain level, let's go to the daily to see a level that I'm looking at. So we had this consolidation, and then we had this pin bar. I already had a short entry that I placed below this area right here, I believe, and then I got triggered in by just a few points, and then price just went straight back, and I had a very tight stop. I believe it was above somewhere here, so I got stopped out, and then price immediately went down again as the sellers stepped in. So I think there's another trade there to be taken. So I'm waiting for a break lower of this pin bar. Also, it will be a break below this this line here, and then if it breaks lower, then I will trade it back to this longer term trend line and these horizontal support lines. I might get out a little bit early if I see price stall a lot, and I might even not be triggered in, because price could also just go straight up. No one ever knows, but this is the scenario that I'm looking at. If there's a break lower, then I'm gonna be short and trading it all the way into this level. So let's move on to the Great British Pound against the USD. I had a very nice trade on this. I was waiting also for the pound to fall against the dollar back to this longer term trend line. So if I zoom out, you can see there's this longer term downtrend, and we went up here into this area where we already had 1-2 bounces, and I saw this third bounce. And looking on the daily, it's a little bit more clear. We had this here. This is the bounce here, and then prices went down and down and down. I was not in this down move, but then I saw some prices stalling here, and I got in on the 4 hour. Let me see. So around here, I said if price will move back into this level here, then I want to be short with my stop above this level right here, and then trade it all the way back to this red line. That is the trend line. That's the longer term trend line, and it went perfectly. It doesn't always go this perfect, but it was certainly a nice trade because I made 4R, so it means I made 4 times my risk, and that gives me some room to put on other trades that I can lose on without being in the red on my trading account. So one of the reasons I also took it is because we had broken here this 200 EMA, and all the moving averages were lining perfectly to the downside. The signal line here was also, it already had broken even the 200 moving average, and then when this bearish engulfing pattern formed, I decided to get in at the low of the wick here, almost at half a retracement of this candle, and then take it to the downside. So that's how I got in. Nothing too fancy about it, and it worked out perfectly. So I'm out of the trade, and I think looking as we are at this level right here, I think I might be looking for a long trade. Maybe if we break above these levels right here. So let me mark that. Let me just move this a bit. So this is looking at the 4 hour, so that's quite short term. I mean, it's not weekly or daily, but it's I think it's a good time frame for me personally to get in, because it allows me to get some tighter stops than on the daily or weekly, and some shorter trades, but not too short that I have to be watching it all the time. I can just look at the positions and at the possible entries after work, and yeah, just let the trades work them out by themselves. So if we take this kind of trade, I would want to trade it back to the 200 moving average, and that would give me a 1 to 1.65 risk to reward. That's not usually what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, preferably I have 1 to 2, but this could still be okay. I'm not sure if I will take this. I will have to take another look at it, but it's for your consideration. If you like this position, you could take this. If you want to see if I'm actually taking this trade, you can follow me, by the way, on TradingView. Just go to tradingview.davetron.com and you will end up on my TradingView profile, and there you can see all the trades that I put on and that I share on TradingView. So moving on, the USD Japanese yen is very much going sideways, pretty boring. I don't see any viable entries or trades here. I do see that it looks as if it is moving a little bit to the downside, looking here at the moving averages, and that we have this the signal line below price, although it's getting caught up here in price, but it's a little bit more to the downside than to the upside, but the trend is not very clear, so I rather not trade this. You could trade this as a sideways market, so see if you can trade it when price comes to this level. You can trade it long, and when it comes, well, let me just draw it in. I'm actually not trading this, but you could consider trading something like this. So we have this downward trend line, and we have a horizontal level right here. So it's getting tighter and tighter, so it's getting more difficult to make any good trades here, but you could consider that if price moves to this level right here at the low level, at this trend line, horizontal trend line, you could take a long and then get out when it comes back to this line here. But it's pretty tight trading in my opinion, so I rather not trade this pair. There are better opportunities. So let's look at the USD against the Swiss franc on the weekly. This is a trade that I still have an order open, so I'm not in this trade, but I have an order placed that if the price breaks below this consolidation that we see going on here on the weekly, then I'm short. So that's let me just undo that. So there's a support line right here that I'm targeting. Let's zoom out a little bit and see where that comes from. So we had this this spike down here in that was in 2015, and so this is a area of support that I'm targeting, and there's also another area right here that I'm not targeting. That's about, if I do plot that in, let's see, that must be at 1-to-1 risk to reward on my trade, if we get to there, hopefully, because that would be nice. Yeah, more or less. So if price hits this level right here, then I will move my stop to break even. So then I'm in a risk-free trade, and then I'm gonna see if I can get 1 to 2 out of this trade, targeting this this spike low. Okay, so this trade is still on for me, and you can see also here that the moving averages are clearly aligned to the downside, and we have this the signal line, as I call it, is also below price, so that means there's more downward pressure than upward pressure. Of course, this is on the weekly. If you look at the daily, there might have been some opportunities right here to take it to the upside. You could have traded this pin bar here and take it to the upside, but for me, I have this trade on for the longer term, so I'm not gonna look on the shorter time frame, mostly because it's very difficult to take trades to the long side if you have a bias to the downside. It's not impossible, but it's just more difficult to be trading profitably, in at least for me. So I try not to do this. So moving on to the Aussie dollar against the US dollar. So also strong downtrend, and we've broken this downtrend, and also here trying to get in on a move back to this trend line, and that makes complete sense. I think so. Price, let me just go to the daily. Let me see. Yeah, so we do have this very strong uptrend on the shorter term. So all these moving averages align. The signal line is above price, so it's lining up beautifully. But let me see. Do I have the RSI on? No. Let me just quickly add the RSI. Oh, and then undo my drawing. So we make higher highs here, as you can see. So from this high to this high, it's a higher high, but here we are actually on the RSI, we're making a lower high. So there's a little bit of divergence. So that tells me that this trend is slowing a little bit, and that gives me confidence to trade it against the trend, because this trend was very strong, but this divergence tells me that the trend is getting less strong. So here we have, here it's going down, and here the higher highs are going higher. That's why they are called higher highs, of course. So here we're making higher highs, and here we're making lower highs. So on the RSI, so this tells me that the strength of this trend is fading a little bit. So I'm gonna trade this to the downside, fading this trend. So let's go to the 4 hour. So it's the same kind of trade that I also want to try out on the Euro USD and the USD Swiss franc. So if price breaks below this this level right here, where we made a swing higher, so we had a low here, and then we had a higher low, and now we had a higher low. So this is kind of short-term uptrending, but if we break below this swing here, then I'm going to take it to the downside, and I'm going to place my stop above this swing high. So if price gets me in and then moves higher from this point, then I want to be out, because then I think it's going to continue to the upside, and my trade is invalidated, and I don't want to be in it anymore. Also, this trade placed like this gives me a nice 1 to 2 risk to reward, so that's also within my parameters of trading. So that's for the AUDUSD. I do not actually have the order on yet. I can see that because I don't have a red tab here. So I'm still considering this, if it's strong enough, but talking about it right now, I think it looks like a pretty decent trade. There's just one thing that we do have to break below this 200 moving average. So there are a few barriers. So if we get in on this trade, then what I will be looking for is some resistance around here at this level, because we had the 200 moving average. And so if price begins to stall here, then I might just quickly move my stop to break even, or maybe just get out with a small profit, and I will not wait for the trade to go to this level right here. But once we've broken this level right here, then after moving my stop, then maybe to half an hour, and then if it reaches this level, I will take it to break even, and then it can go all the way to the level that I'm targeting. Okay, so that's how I manage the trade. Let's move to the New Zealand dollar. So I'm actually in this trade. So this actually is a trade that I put on after it, as it broke here. It broke the trend line, and so I decided that it would, or I did not decide, but I figured that if it would retag the trend line, then I want to be long. So on the daily, that must be a little bit more clear. So we broke here. We're making higher highs, higher lows, and I wanted to get in here at the retest of this trend line level, and that happened. So I'm in this trade to the long side. This is actually counter to my other trades that I have on the AUDUSD and the Swiss franc, because these no, not Swiss franc, which one was it? The Euro USD. But these currency pairs have a little bit more room to go to the downside, so there's a nice short trade in these ones. So here as well, while with the New Zealand dollar we already had this trade to the downside, so it's a little bit early, and now I'm expecting this one to go higher. Of course it can still go wrong, but this is how I try to play it. The AUDUSD, so I had this trade on, but there's this very strong support and resistance level, so I got out when the market opened on Monday 2 weeks ago, I think already this was, and I didn't manage to get long here. That would have been nice to get long off this this candle, but somehow I didn't see it, or maybe I had too many positions on, I don't know. But I missed this one, and that would have been a nice long trade that I could have traded maybe back to the 50 EMA, or maybe even to the 200 EMA, back to this level right here. We have this. Let me just analyze that for you. So this here we have a level that we could target, and also here we have a level that might not be a good target, but that we could expect some resistance around. So if I do this, is it straight? No, it's not straight. There we go. So, or we could target the wick actually, then it coincides here with the 50 moving average, the 50 period moving average, and this is on the daily. But for now, I'm guessing it's too late to get in. Maybe on the 4 hour, we could get some nice action. Maybe we could have a trade if we break above this high here, because then we have the signal line above price clearly, and we have all these moving averages lining up. Just not the 200 period moving average probably, but it's getting there. Yeah, it looks as if we could have a trade all the way back to this level right here. So if we trade it from a break here of the high, we could see something like this. So if price breaks above this level, we might want to get out if price moves back below this level, and then we will target this level, and that does not give too much, not too good a risk to reward. So I'm doubting if I would want to trade this. Maybe we could extend the target, but that will make it less probable for the target to be reached. So I'm not quite sure if there's a trade on the USD CAD, so we'll just skip it then. It's better not to take a trade. So not being in the trade is also a position. Being in cash is also a position. So you don't always have to be in a trade. So quickly looking at gold and silver, we're still in this triangle squeezing formation, and I'm still expecting it to break out to the upside, basically due to the fundamentals, all the money printing going on. So I'm extremely bullish long term on precious metals and cryptocurrencies, and the chart here confirms it. I mean, this is a very strong bullish chart for silver. So the last few weeks we've been consolidating, and this is actually a pattern where you can understand that probably big parties, big banks, big investment vehicles are accumulating silver here, gold, excuse me, this is gold we're looking at, but it's almost the same but a little bit more volatile for silver. So we had this huge run up, so from being in this sideways market where we had a lot of accumulation, probably by retail people like me also, and then we had this huge breakout, and now we have this shorter term, if we can call this shorter term, it's a couple of weeks of consolidation and accumulation. So I'm really expecting a strong breakout within, well, maybe next week or maybe the week after. Maybe we need to adjust these this triangle formation that I drawn in a little bit. Let's take a better look at it. So let's see if we draw it in from the low points exactly. So let's see if what we get. Let's see, maybe we get a little bit more room for price to move around. Yeah, so these are daily candles, so we can still have like let me get the ruler. So oops, something like this. So this is 8 bars, so 8 trading days more or less before we could break, we would have to break this converging pattern. So let's see on gold. On gold actually we are already there, so price should be starting to break out very soon now. Yeah, we could also here have a couple of more days, maybe 1 week of trading before price has to break this pattern, either to the downside or to the upside. My guess is, or I see a higher probability for a trade breakout to the upside that I've drawn in here. So if we break out here, we might do a little bit of a retest after that. So if we break out from here, then we could see a retest here and then go higher. So this whole pattern, we could just move it a little bit. So something like this could still be very viable. So we break out, we retest, and then we break higher. And then once we've broken the last high that we had here, then we can see again probably a parabolic run up before we see consolidation again. That's the pattern I'm looking at. I can see this pattern going on here in the precious metals, but also if you've seen other videos of me explaining my view on cryptocurrencies, you can see the same pattern. So if you just quickly look at Bitcoin on the weekly, or actually the monthly, monthly, let me see, do we have it? Yeah, you can see clearly here we have this triangle consolidation pattern, breakout, triangle consolidation, and now we're gonna have a breakout. If I don't have more prices here, but if I had more history, we could probably, well, that's not true. Let's go to the weekly. Let's see if I can. Yeah, this is basically it. So yes, here you can see it as well on the, so here you can see a triangle formation, here you can see a larger triangle formation, and then here you can also see a large triangle formation, and we've just broken out, and we're going to retest, and then we're going to go higher. So you see this pattern in Bitcoin, but also in gold and silver. This pattern is very clear, and in my opinion, this is basically due to all the money printing. That's why these patterns are forming. People are just trying to keep their money or their value or their wealth safe by keeping it in gold, silver, and Bitcoin. At least I'm doing this, so I think this will also go for many other traders and investors. Okay, that's it for this forecast of this week. I wish you all good trading, and please check out my website at davetrom.com. And also, if you want to check out my profile on TradingView, go to tradingview.davetrom.com and you will end up at my profile, and you can follow me there and get updates when I place a trade. Okay, thanks for watching, and till next time.